Welcome to new video about cellular adaptations. We already discussed in case of a cell injury, there is three phases of changes such as cellular adaptations, number 2 reversible changes, number 3 irreversible changes. So the whenever there is a change in environment to occurs near the cell which leads to a different modifications that are takes place in a cell is known as cellular adaptations. Let us discuss. Definition is changes occurring within the cell to a new environment, as I already discussed about it. Types: hyperplasia, hypertrophy, atrophy, and metaplasia. We discuss each of it in a clear manner. Definition: increase in number of cells leading to increase in size of an organ. So here pinpointly you should note that increase in number as well as increase in size of, so increase in cell number which cause an increase in size of an organ. So what are the factors that are included in increasing, like increasing growth factors which may be derived from various like epithelium, endothelium, as well as different forms, structure, organs, liver, and various parts of the body which cause increase in the hyperplasia is nothing but increase in cells. Next, increase in growth factor receptors is nothing but, so whenever there is a presence of a ligand, there should be a receptor for the action of the mechanism. So what is it? What do you mean by a receptor? Receptors are nothing but a macromolecules which are present intracellularly or extracellular on the surface of the cell membrane, which are activated or depressed based on antagonistic or agonistic. Increase in signal transduction pathway. What is a signal transduction pathway? Is nothing but, listen carefully. So this is a cell membrane. We have a receptor. Think it is as a ligand. So whenever a ligand bind to it, then a mechanism will start. Like, so whenever in example takes G proteins, there is a serpent mechanism, like 7 cellular proteins are arranged in the phospholipids. So here there is activation of G protein, like a G protein mechanism which may leads to cyclic AMP. In other mechanisms, the activation of IP3, like this, these are nothing but secondary messages are transmitted, then this leads to activation of the nucleus and transcriptional changes will take place. Changes takes place which leads to hypoplasia. Then examples: in every case of cellular adaptations we have both physiological as well as pathological conditions. In physiological condition, uterus in pregnancy as well as breast during pregnancy and lactation. Pathological condition based on endometrial hyperplasia and benign prostatic hyperplasia. In endometrial hyperplasia, so we have discussed endometrial in both the physiological as well as pathological. Let's take this picture. So here, within normal conditions, hyperplasia under some extent, it can be a normal physiological condition, but on prolonged, it may leads to dysplasia and later on neoplasia is nothing but cancer. So this is the major examples, whereas benign prostatic is majorly seen in the old age male person having a symptom of urination. Then we are going in the second topic is hypertrophy is nothing but increase in cell size, causing an increase in size of an organ. So this is also a same, we have factors like growth factors have the same things in hyper, but here we have mechanical sensors. Mechanical sensors is nothing but take an example of a bodybuilder. In bodybuilder, he go on exercising, the mechanical is nothing but physical changes. These physical changes which activate, which leads to an increase in cell. Generally, take it an example of a muscle cell which will be elaborated or increase in size based on damage. Whenever a new fibrils will be formed in there, leads to formation of an increase in size. Like this, then activation of fetal hormones and enzymes which takes place in intracellular manner. Examples both pathological and physiological conditions. Uterus of pregnant same as so here the important MCQ is Both hypertrophy and hyperplasia takes place in the uterus of a pregnant woman. Muscle hypertrophy in bodybuilders, as I already said about mechanical sensors. Next, pathological is nothing but cardiac hypertrophy. So here we can clearly observe this is an example. This is uterus, uterus which is removed due to hypertrophy. So here this is a part of cut section of a uterus. In a normal this is see the arrangement of the cell structure which are closely arranged as well as compacted without any distribution, and also matrix in a common pathway, common state. But next say to this is abnormal hypertrophic uterus. Here you can observe there is an increase in the distance between the cells as well as there is a material accumulation takes place here during pregnancy. So these are cases of the next. Atrophy. Atrophy is nothing but whenever decrease in the size of an organ due to cell shrinkage itself. Cell shrinkage is nothing but the size of the cell membrane as well as internal organs will decrease in the size due to anything like disuse or denervation. So these mainly includes protease activation pathway and ubiquitin proteasome activation. Ubiquitin proteasome activation is nothing but it's a muscle derived autophasic vacuoles. Autophasic is nothing but a self-killing type of vacuoles which cause decrease in size of a cell. Atrophy. Examples: physiological as well as pathological. Physiological atrophy of uterus. Embryological atrophy uterus includes thymus, thyroglossal. Not only that, because of this atrophy only, you don't have any types of clenched lip, fingers, and so on. So this is the main physiological condition of atrophy. Pathological nutrition in malnutrition we have atrophy as well as hormonal decrease in the estrogen and progesterone which leads to decrease in the various secondary sexual characters of the female. Ischemic in case of decrease in blood supply leads to an atrophy to the different parts of the body. Denervation as in any damage to the nerve which leads to immobilization, and disuse which leads to a decrease in size is example of atrophy. And a hyper pressure will be act continuously. This also leads to a decrease in the size. Senile conditions, as in case of Alzheimer's disease, the main case of this atrophy. So clearly we can see in this. So here's so you can clearly observe the gyre and sulcus very convoluted in case of normal adult brain, whereas in here you can observe as on age increases senile condition takes place and decrease the surface area will decrease, convolutions also and sulci and gyre also decrease. This is an example of Alzheimer's disease as example of atrophy. Metaplasia. Metaplasia is nothing but is characterized by change in one differentiated type of cell to another differentiated cell types as process of adaptation. So types. So based on whether it is conformed to which the final product is changed to which type of cell, it is changes into different type like squamous metaplasia, columnar metaplasia, and so on. So squamous metaplasia is bronchial epithelial metaplasia. I will clearly explain you this. In smokers, due to chronic smoking, the particles in the cigar which leads to accumulation on the epithelium. Generally, what is the bronchial epithelium is nothing but pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium, but whenever this continuous cigar accumulation which leads to there is a stem cells which activated and causing them these ciliated columnar epithelium converted into squamous epithelium, because squamous epithelium is the strongest epithelium in ever seen. It cannot be destroyed, and this is the main reason why mechanical parts of the body is mainly made up of squamous epithelium. Next, vitamin A. Generally, the main function of vitamin A is generally we thought that it's only activated in the visual activity, but it not. It also helps in the differentiation of the cell. Without this, it leads to columnar epithelium, which converts into a squamous epithelium. Stone formation in pancreas, also columnar epithelium convert into squamous. Urinary bladder, transitional epithelium is converted into squamous epithelium. Cervix transformation zone. In here cervix, there is two regions like this cervix. This is transformation zone, endocervix, exocervix. So here endocervix, whenever a mechanical change takes place which leads to causing vaginal stimulation or something which leads to a change in the columnar epithelium to the graded squamous epithelium. Next. Columnar metaplasia is nothing but Barrett's esophagus. This is main, and listen it carefully. In Barrett's esophagus, let me take it as a diagram of a GIT. A stomach, esophagus. Here, what sphincter? It's a cardiac sphincter which closes it. So, but during this, whenever there is a default in closing of this leads to a regurgitation of the HCl, most acidic content of a body, which leads to destroy the esophagus cells. Here the stem cells will be activated and causing them, making them, they are converted into from squamous epithelium. Generally gut wall is made up of stratified squamous epithelium, but due to this they are converted into columnar epithelium, in which they again helps in GRD. There is a regurgitation takes place and causing this conversion from squamous epithelium to the columnar epithelium. And mesenchymal metaplasia is myositis ossificans is nothing but total change in example take this parenchyma cells. Based on parenchyma cells, various cells are present. They are modified to from like muscle we is accumulated with the calcium leads to formation of a bone. This is an example of mesenchymal ossificans. All long-standing metaplasia that can result in the neoplasia. So like we all discussed in the hyperplasia, which prolonged leads to metaplasia, here also neoplasia, like metaplasia can be prolonged leads to neoplasia. So then here I'll show diagram. Here basement membrane, normal epithelial cells, squamous cells. So general disarrangement which whenever there is change takes place. Here see, like this is an example of Barrett's esophagus when this is normal, but take it a differentiation. Sorry guys, like this. So here when is a regurgitation takes place from this. So this may be converted into direct columnar cells. So this is it, columnar cells. So this is all about the cellular adaptations, modifications and types of changes, as well as the examples. Thank you.